MovieWeb.com.
The rape of Nanking and the Japanese occupation of China is one of these really horrible events that's really never filmed. How did you get the script, and how did the story of George Hogg kind of come to fruition here to get to the screen?
To be honest, I didn't know anything about what happened in Nanking, and it's sort of one of those chapters in history that's been ignored, and it's a shame that that's the case. So it was wonderful that the story kind of reveals that genocide and makes it part of history, or helps make it part of conscious history. But I received the script from Roger Spottiswoode, and he's this tenacious sort of director who follows you around until you say yes. And I was moved by the story and moved by the message that the story speaks of, in that it celebrates philanthropy, or it celebrates the act of giving, and shows the heroism in that.
Yeah, your character Lee, I mean, there's a lot of drama in the film, but there's also a lot of horseback riding that she does, and there's a very rugged aspect to her character. Talk about that. Did you have to train to do that?
Yeah, I mean, she's a kind of a tough cookie who's very self-sufficient and doesn't need anybody, and she can do all these things that I couldn't do. Like, she can roll cigarettes and ride horses and, cut people's legs off. And so, yeah, I did have to learn how to ride horses, and I learned in China, which is a very interesting place to learn how to ride a horse with a teacher who doesn't speak English, and that was an adventure in itself. And yeah, what a great opportunity.
And you're also starring with, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers plays George, but Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh and these great Chinese actors. What was it like working with them? Was there any language difficulties? How did you all get along?
Well, I mean, Chow Yun-fat is such a joy to be around. He's so magnanimous, and I think he really personifies the Chinese spirit. He's just very generous, and there's a lot of Chinese people, and all of them know who he is. And so everywhere we went, they were like fans, and they all wanted photographs of Chow Yun-fat. And he gave them a lot of his time and a lot of his energy, and I was like, how do you do that? And do the scene straight afterwards? And he's like, they give me the energy back. So he's kind of regal in that way.
All right. I was really amazed by the epic scope of this movie. I mean, some of the scenes when you guys are going through the desert is just really, really brilliant. Talk about the production design and the difficulties in filming. Was it hard? Was there a big crew?
What was really interesting about the crew, and I think about this story, is it's a cooperative event between three different cultures: Australian, German, and Chinese. And the whole crew was Chinese. Nobody spoke a word of English, and the DP was the guy that shot House of Flying Daggers, Zhao Jiading, so he has this incredible aesthetic. And the story itself is reminiscent of, the Great March, so there's this Chinese feeling through the whole thing. So we were interpreting them, and they were interpreting us, and it was very much the feeling of not only our experience, but the experience of the characters in the story.
All right. I've been really impressed by your career. I think this is my third interview I've done with you. You've done all these really different types of films. As far as an artist looking for the next creative challenge, what is the thing that you haven't done yet that you want to do?
Well, I could tell you very specifically there's something I want to do, but I can't tell you exactly what it is. But I could, but
I won't tell anybody, I promise.
No, but I want to do a story that has a sort of spiritual bent, that has something to say about how we perceive ourselves in the greater context.
All right, that's interesting if somewhat secretive.
What the hell is she talking about? Yeah.
What are you working on next? What's your next film coming out?
Right now, I'm working on a film with Bruce Willis, which is like a big concept Disney film.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.